When Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was sworn in as the Secretary of Health and Human Services, we anticipated the worst. And as with everything with the Trump administration, that's exactly what we got. Welcome to STEM Now. I'm Laura DiDio, reporting the commentary prepared by Crystal, STEM Now's anthropologist, STEM education researcher, and political activist. As Secretary of Health and Human Services, Kennedy is responsible for the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. The CDC protects our country's health from diseases and other conditions. He's also responsible for the National Institutes of Health, the NIH. Kennedy has continued to spread his lies and misinformation regarding various diseases and health conditions, particularly measles. Measles, as we all know, is a highly contagious disease caused by a virus. It spreads easily and quickly when an infected person breathes, coughs, or sneezes. It can cause severe disease complications, including deafness and even death. I had measles as a child, and it was terrible. Not only was it itchy, but I was constantly nauseous and disoriented. Rather than encourage the public to get vaccinated to prevent measles, Kennedy continues to make false claims. He claims the vaccine itself is as deadly as measles. He has prompted the use of vitamin A to treat measles. This is a scientifically debunked claim. Kennedy has also ordered the CDC to investigate the claims that there's a link between the MMR vaccine and autism. Kennedy terminated all vaccine hesitancy research funded by the NIH. Vaccine hesitancy is the refusal to have oneself or one's child or children vaccinated against an infectious disease or diseases. To date, there have been almost 400 cases of measles reported in the U.S. this year alone. Most of these cases have been in Texas, but the disease has also spread to other states, including New Mexico. In Texas, a 6-year-old unvaccinated girl died. In New Mexico, an unvaccinated adult also died. And there are new cases that have been reported in Ohio, Maryland, New York, California, and several other states. Most of these cases have been individuals who have been unvaccinated for measles. The World Health Organization recommends that babies receive the MMR vaccination at 9 months in most areas where measles is common, and at 12 to 15 months in areas where it is not. Most infants are vaccinated at 1 year and then again between the ages of 4 and 6 years. A second dose is recommended for all children to protect the approximately 15% of children who do not develop protective immunity after their first dose. To achieve herd immunity, which means to achieve a level of immunity where the whole population is protected from measles, at least 94% of the population needs to be vaccinated. Yet there are communities in the United States where the vaccination rates for the MMR vaccine is much lower. In these areas, we tend to see outbreaks of measles. Now let's talk about the vaccine misinformation and the false belief that vaccines are linked to autism, particularly the MMR vaccine. In 1971, Morris Hillman invented the MMR vaccine. 3 individual vaccines for measles, mumps, and rubella. As a result of Hillman's invention, we now have a single shot for all 3 viruses, followed up by a booster vaccine. Millions of adults and children in the US and across the world received the MMR vaccine, and it saved the lives of millions more. In the year 2000, measles was declared eliminated from the US, meaning that the disease had been absent for more than 1 year. However, in 1998, in the United Kingdom, Dr. Andrew Wakefield and several of his colleagues published a fraudulent case study in The Lancet. The Lancet is a major, highly regarded British medical journal. The case study claimed that there was a link between the MMR vaccine and autism and bowel disease. Why the Lancet published Wakefield's paper is a mystery. Typically, papers that are submitted to journals, academic journals that is, are reviewed by experts in the field who then advise the editorial board whether or not it should be published. This case study, conducted by Wakefield and his colleagues, only had 12 children and made claims that were outrageous and difficult to believe. Yet the Lancet stood by the article for many years. Meanwhile, these false claims spread like wildfire in the media in the United Kingdom as well as in the US. There was little pushback from public health officials and the medical community. As a result, the MMR vaccine rates in both countries, the US and the United Kingdom, declined and measles returned, causing many deaths. Millions of dollars were used to fund research to determine the credibility of Wakefield's claims. None of the research found that there was a link. From 2004 to 2010, Brian Dare, a British reporter, investigated and published a series of articles that discredited Wakefield's claims. He discovered that, in fact, Wakefield had deliberately manipulated the data to create this fraud, deceived his colleagues, and had abused the children who were under his care in the study. Wakefield had also falsely claimed that the study received ethical review prior to being conducted. So, why did Wakefield do this? Dare discovered that Wakefield had submitted a patent for a single measles vaccine. This is a clear conflict of interest, and basically, Wakefield was motivated by greed. For his vaccine to be widely used and accepted, he would have had to discredit the MMR vaccine. As with every conspiracy theory, underneath, it's all a grift. In 2004, The Lancet partially withdrew the research, and then it retracted the full article in 2010, 6 years later. Wakefield's collaborators withdrew their names, and there is evidence that they may not have been involved in the fraud at all. They had clearly failed as authors, though, by not carefully scrutinizing the submitted manuscript. In contrast, Wakefield refused to admit the fraud. He was struck off from the medical register for serious professional misconduct. In other words, Wakefield's medical license in the UK was revoked. Wakefield unsuccessfully sued Dare for libel. The judge in the case found that he had, in fact, lied. Wakefield then moved to Texas, where he now lives, and he continues to deny his fraud to this day. He is one of the leaders of the anti-vax movement in the US, along with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Wakefield continues to spread his lies about the link between the MMR virus and autism. Notice you no longer hear the lie about the connection between the MMR vaccine and bowel disease because it was so ridiculous in the first place. Wakefield attempted to sue Dare and others for libel in the Texas court, but the judge threw the case out. So, how do we address vaccine hesitancy? The most important thing to remember is that most of the people, or at least many of them, who share the false belief about the link between the MMR vaccine and autism and other vaccines and autism are not aware of Wakefield's fraud. They don't know the details. They don't see the grift. It is important not to dismiss or ridicule their concerns. Encourage them to talk about them, address them. Encourage them to have discussions with their doctors. Send them information about the MMR vaccine from authoritative sources. Being a political activist is not easy, but let's go out there and be advocates on behalf of our communities and speak out against those who seek to do them harm. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to this channel, like and comment on this video. Thank you.